This man had dialed 911 to report a shooting in his neighborhood, but when the detectives reached the area, they found something far more disturbing. A man shot and injured.
With the ambulance, man.
But this was only the beginning of a gruesome series of events, as there was another victim just a few yards away.
Somebody come here and help him. I don't know where he's hit at.
Unfortunately, they couldn't save him. The case should have been easy to solve, with witnesses who saw the crime up close.
You know exactly who he is.
Bizzo.
Who's Bizzo?
The suspect. I don't know his real name. His rap name is Scissors.
What's his name?
Well, I call him QB. QB. They call him Q-Bizzle.
But then, each witness gave a different name for the killer. And just when it seemed the shooter had gotten away, police found one clue that changed everything.
What happened that night, where you were at on the night of the homicide?
I'm learning about that. Being honest as I can, I have no clue.
Thing number one is, this entire incident is on videotape.
Akron 911.
I'd like to report a shooting
Where?
on Main Street at Idaho Bar and Grill.
Somebody was shot?
There was somebody outside shooting. I just heard it.
Akron 911. I live right by the halftime bar, and it just sounded like there was a bunch of gunshots. How many shots did you hear? 4. 4 shots? Yeah, and there's just like people flying out of the parking lot now.
On October 20th, 2017, Akron police rushed to the busy bars on South Main Street. It was late at night, and they expected to find a man with a gun. But even before they reached the scene, something shocking appeared right in the middle of the road. This shirtless man came out of nowhere and stopped their car. He appeared to have been intoxicated.
What happened? Happened at the bar? With the ambulance, man.
The officers pulled over and set him down by the side of the road, but he appeared to be in intense pain. Upon closer look, the investigators realized he had a gunshot wound in the abdomen and was thus impatient for an ambulance.
They're coming, man. They're coming.
Going off for real. Yeah. Well, we can't get them here any faster. They're driving. He said he ran down here, so kind of far to run, but.
His severe condition left him incapable of clearly explaining what had transpired. Meanwhile, as investigators assisted this man, they feared the shooting was still underway.
See if you can get anything on the way to the hospital, how he went from here to here, so we can find out who the scene. Yeah. Cool.
One officer rushed the injured man to get help, while the rest of the team tried to figure out where he had come from. They were told the incident started in a bar nearby, but since the area had many bars, they had to visit each one to figure out where the incident actually took place. Officers were trying to determine the location when a man, one of the 911 callers, approached them.
I was standing there by my RV, by the bush, and it went bam, 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 like that. And I think there were shots. No fire, I think. That's not a firecracker.
10 minutes ago or something, or?
Yeah, I just stayed quiet because I was in the bushes on the other side of my RV, and another V in there parked beside mine, a letter up there. I heard somebody ran past. I'm pretty sure they ran past his van and down over the back of the hill.
Like through the yard? Up the driveway?
I think they must come up the drive. They were close enough I could hear them panting. And they went down over the hill there and back to the house. I wanted to check on my RV for something in there before I could even get into it. I heard those 3 shots go off. Sounded like they were right in there somewhere.
You think it was 3 shots, or?
I heard 3. It was like bam, 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 just like that.
Well, we're out here now. We're going to be checking the area, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
The 911 caller said someone had been seen running, but was it the shooter or another victim? If the gunman was nearby, they were walking into a possible shootout. As they scanned the area, they spotted a fence up ahead. The officers approached with their weapons raised. But within seconds, they realized it was an unconscious man lying on the ground. At first, they suspected intoxication, but a closer look revealed a gunshot wound. and he was not breathing.
I don't know where he's hit at.
He might not be hit. He might be overdosing.
Yeah, there's one.
Yeah.
The male appeared to be in his late 20s. There wasn't anybody around him.
The detectives tried to revive the victim, but chest compressions were failing to bring him back.
We're status on EMS. We need him right behind the King's Auto.
Somebody come over here and help him.
However, the night was far from over. It was a Friday night, and the crowd was only getting bigger. Officers feared the chaos could spiral beyond their control, and there could be more victims, so they had to act fast.
We're gonna need more units because it's right by the large bar. People are gonna start seeing us here soon. We've got like 60, 70 cars in here. People are gonna start getting nosy, and we need to secure this area and get some caution tape up.
So at that point, we weren't sure if this male we just found was linked to the other victim that we found on the street.
The IDs and his wallet lay around him. He was 26-year-old Darian Hardison.
Right over here. He's back here. I can't tell.
Darian was barely clinging to life when paramedics arrived and took over the CPR, but they failed. Darian was gone. 30 minutes after Darian Hardison was pronounced dead, homicide investigators flooded the scene, determined to piece together what happened. Their first move was the bar across the street. It had a bad reputation owing to recent drug deals and violent altercations. If trouble was brewing anywhere, it was here. And the moment they stepped inside, their instincts were proven right. They had their first little lead.
After speaking with the bouncers, we became aware that there was an altercation over a cigarette outside of the back of the bar just prior to the gunshots.
At this point, we didn't know if the victim at the hospital was related to Darian Hardison, who was found deceased. So we're just kind of flying blind.
With strong suspicions that the bar could have been the site of the shooting, investigators turned to the security cameras, both inside and outside the building.
The camera right here and the outside door right here.
We did notice there was cameras inside the bar and outside the bar. It is imperative for us to get access to the security videos.
We go inside. We shut this down. Nobody leave.
Hell no, what? Got an ID on you? No, I ain't got no ID. Did I get your ID yet? I'm the owner of the bar, so.
The investigators kept their guard up, speaking as little as possible. No one in the bar, not even the owner, could be trusted if they did not know what had happened. However, the owner eventually led them to a back room where the surveillance recordings were monitored. This was it, potentially the key to everything.
Now, your security system runs constant, I'm assuming?
It should, yeah. It should be 24 hours a day.
The surveillance system was designed to never go offline, but as investigators combed through the footage, they made a chilling discovery. A crucial part of the footage was missing, and not just any part, the exact window of time when the shooting took place.
So when you arrived tonight, was everything functioning? And
honestly, I didn't check. My responsibility was to take care of the entry fees.
Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there. Listen, I believe that somebody tampered with your video system. Okay? I believe I'm going to be able to prove that. Just to let you know, we are going to take the video system itself. Okay?
Okay.
Someone had accessed the security cameras before they did, and whoever had access had a reason to erase that footage.
We have no idea how many people have access to it. It could be our shooter intentionally deleted the video, but it's extremely frustrating because that's a key piece of evidence that is in jeopardy now.
The focus had shifted. Who had access to that back room? Who had the power to erase those critical moments? While some investigators worked to track down suspects, others turned to their tech experts at headquarters, hoping to retrieve the missing footage before they lost it forever. The night ended with no more gunshots and no leads to the suspect. In the coming days, the shooter seemed to have gone underground, and the investigation hit a wall.
Following morning, I actually went to the autopsy, and the medical examiner was able to determine that a single gunshot wound that actually entered his upper right arm, went through his chest cavity, struck his heart, nicked his liver and his lung, and then exited out of the left side. So it was one single gunshot that actually killed Darian Hardison.
Darian was my identical twin brother. We was born 2 minutes apart. Having a twin was great just because you got a friend all the time to play with. We did everything together. Riding bikes, playing sports, tags. My mom died when we were 12, so we moved here with my granny. Darian was a little more shy than me growing up. We fought all the time, you know, we're twins. Every day we'd argue with each other, but we'd never let nobody else argue with us. We just felt safe with each other. Like, no matter what, we thought we was all right. Like, even as kids, we didn't know, like, something could really happen, but we just felt safe with each other.
Derek, the injured suspect, finally woke up in the hospital. However, all he remembered was being with Darian that night, but not how the shooting started. He couldn't recognize the killer. Just when it felt like the trail had gone cold, Officer Litke received a call that would open the doors to the very night of the crime.
They were able to recover about 90 to 95% of the deleted security video. At that point, that was the biggest missing piece that we figured we needed that would help propel this investigation to lead us to a suspect.
Investigators had recovered 4 different camera angles. One that stood out was the back entrance, which was busy with people coming and going.
One of them faces the back door where everybody's entering. There's also one that's in the stairwell, showing everybody coming in and out of the bar. And there's several cameras that actually are inside on the bar side and then on the dance floor side. From the one camera view, you could actually see 2 guys standing outside the back door.
In the first frame, Darian and Derek could be seen taking a smoke break. At the same time, another man appeared at the second angle. He climbed the stairs and visited the same place where the victims were smoking.
After maybe 20 seconds or so, you see him come back in and approaches people on the dance floor. You see one of the females, she goes over and picks up her purse, brings it back over to him. They're kind of in a huddle and you see her hand him something from her purse.
She handed the object to the man who had just joined them.
At that point, our suspect quickly starts to walk away from the dance floor. He goes back up the staircase, and as soon as he goes through the doorway, you see flashes that we assume were from the gun fire, and you see everybody start to react. The security guards kind of duck in, and then that's when you see the suspect turn to come back in the bar, and he's confronted on the staircase by his 4 friends, and they're waving for him, let's go, let's go. And they grab him and they all leave the scene.
Moments later, panic was visible among the crowd. This footage had captured the moments before terror struck. The bouncers told police it started over a cigarette. The man came through the back door while the others were outside smoking. There was a brief argument. The argument escalated quickly. He went inside, returned with a gun, and fired. Cold and without hesitation. What started as a small fight ended in deadly violence.
We couldn't make a definitive ID on the shooter from the video, but we were able to hone in on a group of his friends or people that he seemed to be hanging out with, and we had some really good shots of them.
Investigators knew that finding them could be the key to tracking him down.
We can figure out who they are. They're going to eventually tell us who he is.
Detectives were determined to catch the killer, so they turned their attention to tracking down his friends, hoping one of them would lead them to their target.
We knew that the female on the dance floor handed our suspect something from her purse. We're assuming at that point it was a gun. So it was really important for us to try to locate them to find out what their story was, how they were involved. We're pretty confident the man that we seen coming down the stairs in the sweatshirt and the baseball hat was our suspect, and he was the shooter that was involved in the homicide of Darian Hardison.
Tracking down the shooter was no longer just part of the investigation. It was now a race against time.
Yeah, with an armed and dangerous shooter on the loose, we needed to get him off the streets of Akron fast.
Realizing that locating the friends from the CCTV footage was their best shot at catching the killer, they devised a stealthy plan, one that could bring them face to face with the people holding the key to solving the case. Detectives knew they had to tread carefully.
We have video of our shooter. There's some identifiable characteristics of our shooter, but there's a problem if you put that video out to the public and then later on someone says, I know who your shooter is, and you show a photo array and have them pick them out. Well, we're never going to know if they're picking that person out of the photo array based on the picture we put out or what they actually saw. So there's a strategy in not releasing suspect information to the public so that you don't ruin future witness statements. Luckily, in this case, we had 4 other people that we could put out and enlist the public's help in solving this crime. When you start putting people on the 6 o'clock news, people's family members see them, and next thing you know, the phone's ringing.
The plan worked. Tarika and Tommy eventually came forward, bringing detectives one step closer to the truth.
It was pretty clear from the video that they definitely knew who the suspect was. So our goal at that point is to gain as much information from them as possible. We knew we're already behind the 8 ball at that point because they already had time to discuss what their stories would be. But if they're separate in different interview rooms, we have a better chance of getting more of an honest statement from them.
Detectives quickly brought the witnesses in for interrogation. Tarika was the first to be questioned.
There's a reason why you're down here. There's a reason why your photo's out there. We just want to get your side of the story. Okay?
I literally don't even remember. I was so drunk. I don't remember nothing. I don't even remember being there.
Now listen, you're likely going to get yourself arrested with stuff like that. You come with the guy, you leave with the guy. We know you know who he is.
I don't know who he is.
Okay, he's with you all night. You know exactly who he is.
I don't know who he is. We all was at the bar together. There was a lot of people.
Yeah, but you went with just another dude at the bar. That guy's with you. Yeah. He's a friend.
Yeah, I was driving. I was friendly with everybody.
Well, that's not what the video shows, though. That's not what the video shows. The video shows your core group of people that you were with, that you arrived with, that you were on the dance floor with, that you left with, which includes this gentleman right here, who's going to end up catching a murder charge. And what's going to end up happening is you're going to catch a complicity to commit murder.
I do not know him.
She obviously wasn't intoxicated to the point where she just had no idea what went on. So at that point, it becomes a negotiation, and she was already involved. She was on video. She clearly knew who this person was. You get into the area where, okay, now you're making the decision to lie to the police to stop us from solving a murder. There's no way out of it except for by telling the truth.
As Tarika clung to her denial, the detectives turned up the heat. They gave her an ultimatum: either tell the truth or face the very real possibility of going to jail. Realizing she could actually end up behind bars, she began to talk.
I don't tell what I remember. When they said it was a shooting, they had to come get us off the dance floor and tell us that it was time to go. I literally didn't even hear no gunshots. I know we all did go out, but that's all I remember is go out. It was me, Tierra, Tommy, Bizzo, and Lucky.
Who's Bizzo?
That's Bizzo.
Okay.
Give me Bizzo's actual name.
I think Quentin.
And then, after hours of resistance, Tarika finally broke and gave the detectives a name, the first real lead they had been waiting for.
She stated, okay, well, his name's Quentin. So at that point, we didn't know if she was being honest or not, because she was very evasive on a lot of her questions.
With Tarika's shaky lead in hand, the detectives moved on to interrogate Tommy, who was Tarika's brother.
We just need you to be honest with us.
I mean, this isn't like a theft case. I mean, this is a murder and a felonious assault.
I understand.
You know?
Who was that person pictured at the top with you? You know who it is, dude. Don't even.
I mean, I've seen him around.
No,
I don't know his name. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you know his name. We're gonna end up putting you in another room and throwing a handcuff on you. You're either gonna be honest at this point or you're not.
However, Tommy was just as uncooperative as Tarika. He made it obvious that extracting the truth from him would be complicated. by being evasive and tight-lipped.
I don't know his name.
It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it.
I'm trying to tell you, I don't know his name.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes,
On everything.
You know, listen, you know who he is, and you're trying to play games, and you're going to get yourself arrested, and don't do it.
I don't know his real name. His rap name is Scissors.
Tommy offered nothing but his rap name, a detail that was of no help to the investigation. Then, the detectives pushed harder.
If you tell me this guy's actual name, I'm going to let you go. If you don't, I'm not.
I promise you I don't know his actual name. I promise you I don't. If I did, I would have gave it to you. I wouldn't have gave y'all his rap name and not his real name.
How would you get in touch with him?
Oh, I just want to understand
how it is. Like I'm still gotta watch my back and I don't know what to do. Kill me or anything, like, you know what I'm saying? So
as we pressed him, he said, oh, well, his name is SZA. He's a rapper. We knew that wasn't true. As we're interviewing him, Tommy just seemed like he was scared. And that's a big obstacle that we have to overcome in law enforcement, is people are afraid to be labeled as a snitch. They're afraid that somebody's going to come after them and hurt them if they talk to the police.
Refusing to give up, the detectives pressed Tommy again, determined to break through his defiance and uncover the truth he was so desperately hiding.
Well, we get there, we go to the bar. Star and Razan, they split off to go somewhere. And we all at the bar.
Who's Star?
That's the one that's over there.
That's your
Terica.
sister?
That's Terica.
Who's Lazan?
That's the other one in the picture.
So as we're interviewing Tommy, he ends up identifying another unknown individual from the surveillance video that is seen handing something to our shooter. He gives us the name of Lazan, and that's someplace else that we can go. Our next mission is to get Lazan in an interview room as quickly as we possibly can.
So after the interview with Tommy and Terica, we did have a potential first name and nicknames that they both had for the suspect. And we also had identified the other female that was with them, who was Lazan.
Wasting no time, the detectives tracked down the third witness and brought her in for questioning. Little did they know that the third person would be the breakthrough they were waiting for. Nicknames. That's all they'd been given. Now, all eyes turned to the third. Will she finally drop a real name or lead them to another dead end?
Thing number one is, this entire incident is on videotape. Everything we're going to be asking you about, we already know, because it's on video.
I'm willing to tell you everything that I know personally. I don't know much, and I was drunk out of my mind.
She knew the identity of the shooter, but she wasn't ready to give it up just yet.
I know who did, but I just feel like I'm being put into a compromising position, and I feel like if I'm going to go to jail, what is the point of me even saying anything?
Because your cooperation is going to have a lot to do with how long you stay there.
Realizing she had nothing left to bargain with, she finally broke her silence and began to reveal everything she knew.
So we were drinking, kicking it. It's a little blurry to me, but I remember me and QB were dating.
You and who?
The suspect.
What's his name?
Well, I call him QB. Whatever y'all had his name as, I don't know. That's just what we call it. I promise you, I didn't have no gun. I know that. For 100% fact.
Well, I mean, the video shows what it shows.
So what am I being charged with again?
It's complicity to commit felonious assault and for bringing a gun into a bar.
She denies that she brought a gun into the bar and handed it to our suspect.
The investigation was going in circles. She dropped yet another nickname. Just like the last two, it was starting to feel less like a lead and more like a game.
They call him Cubism.
Finally, someone dropped more than just a nickname. It felt like a breakthrough. Was she telling the truth, or was she playing them just like the rest?
She said Bizzle. She had his number actually in her phone, and so she gave us his phone number. So she confirmed what the others said about the first name possibly being Quentin. So she gave us enough information that would help during the investigation.
Despite her confession, she couldn't escape accountability.
We did still charge her with bringing a firearm in a liquor establishment for carrying a concealed weapon, and some other charges, and that was based off the video footage that we felt showed that, you know, what she did hand him was a firearm.
Without a full name, detectives focused on their only lead, the nickname, Bezo, Caesars, and QB. They combed through their database, meticulously cross-referencing it with the first name, Quentin. Their persistence paid off when they found a match, someone who fit the profile they had been relentlessly chasing.
We know at this point we have the right guy. Now we've got to find him and get him into custody.
Just as the detectives were closing in, a jail inmate named Anthony came forward, claiming to have crucial information, leaving the detectives to wonder if he was their missing puzzle piece or just another distraction.
We brought this inmate from the county over to the station and interviewed him to find out what he knew about the homicide and if that would help us during our investigation.
But what Anthony revealed immediately put the detectives on high alert, hinting that the case was far from over.
So, I understand you got some information on what's that. Can you tell me what's going on with that?
Long story short, I was approached by a family member of Quinn's to take a murder for hire for 2 of the witnesses that said testified.
Okay.
The weight of his words hung in the air, sharp and heavy, as the detectives processed the sinister twist. He went on to disclose even more.
Who is he to Quentin?
He's a cousin.
So, how did he approach you?
They didn't call. And he said he wanted to meet up. His grandmother stays. He said, well, we want you to do something. 2 of the witnesses, they need to get iced. He said, it's a thief for me. He pulls out $2,500 and just leaves him a seat. He said, we need you to do this. We know you can do it. And I attempted to give it back to him. I said, I don't want nothing to do with this. It's hot. I'm like, I ain't got time for it. I'm like, come on, man. Can't anybody else get it done like you. Like, man, cool, man. He wouldn't take the money. He left him a piece of paper that had supposedly Tariq's address. One of the supposed witnesses.
It was darker and more calculated than they had anticipated. But now, detectives were closer to the truth.
Anthony had told us that Quentin had put a hit out on Tariqa and Tommy, 2 of the people that we had interviewed early on in the investigation.
Anthony's disturbing discovery started to unravel, every word drawing the detectives further into the black and sinister game of the case.
He was like, man, I'll make sure you get 5,000 as soon as you get out Tuesday. He said, man, get Tariq, get Tommy. So he said Tommy would kind of be hard to get, but he said if I get Tariq, it wouldn't be no issue getting Tommy.
Okay.
So that was kind of the extent of that conversation. I kind of was a yes man and agreed just to get the conversation over with.
It was disturbingly evident how far the suspect would go to silence anyone who stood in their path.
At that point, it became extremely important that we find Quentin Tyler right away and get him off the streets before anybody else got hurt.
With the arrest warrant freshly issued, detectives were gearing up for a manhunt. But before they could even set their plan in motion, Quentin Tyler walked through the station doors and calmly surrendered himself, catching everyone off guard.
I was able to get Quentin into an interview room and we had a discussion.
With Quentin Tyler now in custody, detectives finally had him right where they wanted, trapped in the questions of the interrogation room.
Can you just give me a little bit of rundown on, you know, what happened that night, where you were at?
I don't know. I'll be at home with my family. I'll go out here once in a while, but...
So what if I said that we have a video with you on it, coming in the bar, getting patted down, arguing about paying the $20?
I don't know about that.
You don't know?
As Quentin strolled in on his own, detectives assumed this would be an easy takedown. But they soon discovered it wouldn't be that simple. What Quentin didn't know was that his so-called perfect murder had far more cracks than he ever imagined.
Can I see the tattoos on your hand? Yeah. What's this one here?
No, this is flame. That's why I look.
That's kind of funny because there's a guy in the video with the same tattoo on the night of the homicide.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because the guy's actually walking down the steps coming in the bar with the camera facing him, and it's clear that the tattoo's on his hand that matches yours.
And with every passing minute in the interrogation room, those cracks were about to split wide open.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of things going against you, and I want you to be honest with me.
Being honest as I can, I have no clue. Like, I'm shocked like everybody else is. I don't know what's going on. I'm shocked.
Even without a confession, the mountain of evidence against Quentin was more than enough to seal his fate.
After talking to our witnesses, we're confident that Quentin Tyler was our suspect. I mean, we had the video that showed him coming and going, down the stairwell of the bar, him going up the stairs, the flash from the gun, him turning around, putting the object back in his left pocket and trying to walk back down the stairs. There was no denying that Quentin Tyler was our suspect.
Quentin Tyler's trial was a turning point in the quest for justice for Darian Hardison. The prosecution laid out incriminating evidence, the chilling CCTV video, witness accounts, and evidence of Quentin's efforts to silence witnesses who could reveal his secrets.
Quentin committed a cold act of violence that ultimately cost Darian Hardison his life, and it was all over something silly. Derek and Darian were both outside, just minding their own business, when our suspect Quentin came up the stairs, asked Derek for a cigarette, and Derek called him a broke bum. So it upset Quentin enough where he went back into the bar, had a conversation with Lazan, was able to get a gun, came back up. As soon as he broke the threshold of the door, he immediately started firing at Derek. Derek and Darian both took off running. Unfortunately, Darren sustained a fatal wound, and he collapsed about 75 to 100 yards south of the bar.
Despite the claims of self-defense, there was overwhelming evidence. The jury deliberated and convicted Quentin of murder, felonious assault, and charges related to these.
So he was charged with the homicide, and he was sent to Summit County Jail after our interview with him.
In September 2018, Quentin was given 23 years to life in prison, a strong statement of responsibility for a crime that broke lives.